Hello, my name is Maria Jose Fernandez. I'm the responsible today for these presentations, and as you can see, I belong to a group of teachers in the University of Granada in Spain working on a school organization as a real and effective tool for a high-quality teaching learning process and the general improvement of schools. The name of the full paper presented by me and my other colleagues are School Organizations, Autonomy for the Unknown or Hegemony of the Known. I would like to mention my other partners who are Francisco Javier Blanco Encomienda and Maria José La Torre Medina, both of them belonging to the University of Granada as well. Here you have the outline of the presentations. As you can see, we can have the abstract, the key words presented in the full paper, and the body of the full paper, which consists in 5 points we would like to debate on. Autonomy, face and cross. Autonomy not as an adjective in itself. A picture is worth 1,000 words. And autonomy and fear of inequality. As usually, the full paper finished with some conclusions and references used in the presentation. This paper reflects on the need to improve the administrative framework to allow schools to gain more autonomy so that they can have real and effective flexibility to change structures in order to explore new paths to success and efficiency. Sharing the opinion of a broad group of researchers, we considered that moving to a more autonomous school structures generates a deeper action in real student social and cultural context. The increase of autonomy in schools is related to an improvement in the quality of the teaching learning process. A higher level of autonomy has consequently an impact on the organization of schools that leads to a better quality and results. In recent years, there have been constant apparent efforts by education authorities to improve the situation of educational quality and academic performance. Several plans to improve the quality of teaching or incident plans in education have landed in schools with a palliative function. However, none of these reforms get the expected success if they are not based on the real needs of each school according to the context, social reality, and idiosyncrasy. The conclusion of this paper is that the dilemma between autonomy or centralization must be overcome in favor of a higher quality in education. The key words presented in our full paper are autonomy, policy implementation, evaluation, teaching learning process, and high quality education. Autonomy, face and cross. Fulham, in 2015, affirms that educational centers start from a centralist tradition whose homogenizing tendency has not at all favored the development of own projects in the centers and does not help to stimulate innovation and improvement. The educational projects of the center have failed to reflect the real idiosyncrasy of schools and high schools. The Eurydice report in 2008, which measured the level of autonomy of European educational fields, states that the countries of Northern Europe have the greatest educational autonomy and are the ones that obtain the best results. The school must be inserted in the social, economic, and cultural context. Only in this way it can truly respond to the students it receives each day. Centers should be able to create their own proposal with a great capacity for self-management and organization, to create and promote real curricular projects with objectives that respond to their realities. However, the autonomy of the school has gained an important position at the point of debate. Autonomy is not an objective in itself. The arguments in favor of the greater autonomy of the centers are many and varied, from the pedagogical ones, which defend a greater adequacy of the curriculum to the specific educational realities, to politicians, in the belief that a closer and more internal government can better detect the weaknesses and strengths of the centers to promote them, or even the mercantilist arguments, which defend competitiveness as an element that can awaken the initiative to seek improvement and effectiveness. By that as it may, autonomy has its face and its cross. We could admit the risk that it might carry, but must be kept apart from ideologizations and political approaches for or against centralization that are often hidden behind the debate. The autonomy of the centers continues to be a controversy that has a vision of becoming a crossroad if we are not able to define the objectives that are intended with its application. We believe the centers must have the necessary tools to promote the initiatives in order to offer them greater capacity for their own decisions in the face of the challenges that are raised at every moment in the educational history. Now, we must consider, as Marchesi warns, that the autonomy of the centers is not an objective in itself, but must be understood as a means to achieve other purposes of greater magnitude, as can be the improvement of quality and equity in education. It will therefore be necessary to analyze in every moment its influence in obtaining these objectives. A picture is worth 1,000 words. This dilemma between trusting autonomy or following the well-known steps of centralizations goes beyond any country, affecting any educational system. During the last years, administrations have launched new policies to increase school autonomy, and the so-called empowerment schools have proliferated not only in the United States but also in sub-European countries. According to Honing and Braining in 2012, Boston Public School, Chicago Public School, Los Angeles Unified School Districts, New York City Public School, and Oakland Unified School District, among others, have implemented high-profile reforms initiatives to offer those schools more autonomy and assistance in implementing their teaching and learning improvement strategies. The initiatives in these places offer new autonomy in areas such as human resources, curriculum, and instruction. The first analysis revealed that the students in participating high schools score slightly better than their counterparts in non-participating schools in English and language arts and math, with a considerable improvement in attendance. In Spain, these new policies, which we call Autonomy Program for Educational Centers, PAC, have been launched in Catalonia with excellent results. The educational projects developed under this PAC have achieved an increase of 16% as a mean of school success. Focusing on Europe, the PISA report in 2012 compares the results of Spain with those of Portugal and Poland, and concludes that both Portugal and Poland have undergone considerable improvement without increasing public spending. This improvement is due to policies aimed at a greater autonomy of educational centers and mechanisms that involve a more autonomous management of the center itself. In this same report, Slisher invites us to reflect on the fact that one of the general patterns that defines the countries that get the best result is the sharing of responsibility between the authorities and the schools. Autonomy and fear of inequality. The aim of our schools is to respond to all students, giving them the acquisition of basic competencies that enable them to develop successfully in society to avoid exclusion. This primary objective is only achieved if we apply educational projects that directly affect the social cultural context in which we are working. Marchesi has been defending the autonomy of the center for years, affirming that autonomy is a means to achieve other objectives of greater impact, such as improving the quality and the fairness of education. However, in many occasions, it's warned that autonomy also encloses risks that need to be assessed in depth before deciding on it. Marchesi poses it as a dilemma. Widening the autonomy of schools can result in an increase in inequalities between them by the different resources they can get or by the different form of organizing or managing the centers. On the contrary, if we do not extend the autonomy of the centers, we can lose a good strategy to stimulate processes of change in them. So, many schools are considering autonomy as an occasion to improve the pedagogical projects and adapt them to the environment, give personality to the center, limit the bureaucracy and interventionism of the administration, and develop plans of quality and equity. Others, however, consider increasing autonomy more as a threat than as an opportunity for improvement. Among the risks involved in applying autonomy in the schools, there is a shadow of an imbalance between the same ones that put equality into play. In 2010, Calero writes about the difficult balance that arises between autonomy and equity. It is difficult but necessary to strike a balance because the benefits outweigh the risk. Equality can be favored if we focus our efforts on evaluation processes, leadership reinforcements, and compensation monitoring the worst result centers. In a very interesting study of Hanushek, Link, and Husman in 2012, they concluded that autonomy in schools improves students' achievement in developed countries, but undermines it in developing countries. That means that in low levels of economic development, increased autonomy is not a benefit for students' outcomes, especially in curriculum decisions. By contrast, in high-income countries, increased autonomy over academic contexts exert positive effects on student achievement. So, does it mean that inequality does not emerge from autonomy? Is it possible that more autonomy could be an effective tool against that endemic harm? We think so. Autonomy and evaluation. Quid pro quo. According to the OECD's Tallys report, teachers and centers continue to show resistance to be assessed. The problem of the rejection of the evaluation of the teaching practice comes from an enormous lack of information and teacher training in this sense. But what kind of assessment should we expose ourselves to? Who is the right agent for that assessment? Is that assessment going to be translated into information or into bureaucratic demand? Evaluation for improvement or mere control? There are many questions that teachers are doing in an exercise for which they are not prepared and therefore willing. Ignorance provokes reticence. The solution is to introduce in the centers from within an evaluation philosophy that underscores the benefits that this necessary educational action brings within and minimizes the inconvenience and fears existing. The centers are probably not able to respond because we must recognize a worrisome lack of teaching maturity towards the evaluation. Without continuing training in the need for evaluation, progress toward teaching quality cannot be encouraged. We must make it integrated in the teaching practice. The assessment should begin to be considered not as a threat, but as a change-generating exercise. It is paradoxical that a profession that constantly and periodically evaluates as part of its competences is so reluctant to be assessed. The evaluation is necessarily a work inherent in the teaching practice and a factor of adaptation to the educational reality and the achievement of the improvement. As Bolivar says, that any possible external evaluation will have little effect if it does not provoke, at the same time, internal evaluation processes, conducive to making things better. As for the question of how to establish the assessment, there is also a broad debate. Braxham and Ori in 1994, worldwide pioneers in this field, established that the evaluation of the teachers and centers should be made from the results obtained by them. This criterion is highly dangerous and is rejected head-on by the teaching group, even nowadays. We defend the model designed by the Staffliban and Skinfield, which values dimension of 4 types: the social-cultural level of departure of the student of the center, the starting point of the student as a clear condition of the results, the process of operation in the center and in the classroom, and the results. There are many challenges to face when improving the schools. The evaluation is one of them. The exercise of evaluation must be considered by all teachers, management teams, and administration as a real instrument at the service of the serve for the improvement of the quality of the centers. Without evaluation, autonomy does not make sense. Conclusions. Autonomy gives the centers the necessary tools to promote the initiatives in order to face the challenges that are raised in every moment of the history. New decentralizing educational policies must be demanded by the schools to improve the quality of the education that their students need. Autonomy of the centers means a key tool for the new educational paradigm reclaimed by the schools, which have as their main aim innovation and a high-quality education. Finally, here you have some of the references that appeared during the presentation. Thank you, gracias, as we say in the University of Granada, and thanks again for attending this presentation. And at the bottom you've got some of our emails. Just please don't hesitate to contact us if you have any question or more information.